Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality best hair, and welcome to Live and Wired, Episode 8. This sucks. Change it. And, yeah, I am Decker Shado, joining, as always, that long-haired creepy guy.
Yo.
And, of course, Patricia Miranda.
Hello, everyone.
And boy, oh boy, do we got a lot of interesting topics to talk about, like all kinds of stuff with giant sharks, some video game things. I know you really dig vampires this week, huh? You guys are really interested in the vampires and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was what the reference of the sucking was, actually, in the title.
Yes. We are talking about a brand new vampire game that's going to be coming out for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC about vampires. Let me just pull it up right now. So yes, we're going to be having. It was actually a trailer of it that just came out recently, and let me see if I just put the screen in. Not working. There we go. So yes, we have a new RPG coming out called Vampire. Become acquainted with 1918 London in this dark and gritty trailer. It is about a protagonist named Jonathan Reed and his plight and the world that he inhabits. Set in World War I comes to a close around the time of the Spanish flu. Britain is ravaged with death and overcome with hopelessness. In Vampire, these dark times give vampires the opportunity to kill their heart's desire without much of the city noticing. Playing as Reed, you are the vampire yourself, and one of the biggest challenges you face is morality. You need to satisfy your thirst for blood, but as a doctor, you often don't want to kill unless it's absolutely necessary. And if you're more interested, there is a trailer on the link below. It launches on June 5th. So yes, this is our suck it term.
So yeah, I mean, I'm used to not caring too much about story, and that is a story trailer, which is supposed to just show story itself, and I have absolutely no idea what the gameplay of this game is like, but it's actually got me to the point where I was like, hey, that looks like that would be a really interesting story. Being a doctor who's a vampire in, like, the height of we have awesome accents and technology is just shitty enough that we can't really do too much about really good vampires.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have a lot of. You have a lot of zombie games, and
yeah, Michael Vale says at least it's not another zombie game.
Exactly. Yeah, there's just too much of that. So, at least we have a game that you have somebody who's a doctor and
James
blood.
Davidson is like Dr. Acula.
Dr. Acula. Yes, we're having a video game adaptation of Night of the Ghouls, directed by Ed Wood.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
That would be awesome.
But
I'm
player says Dark Souls with vampires, I think. And wouldn't that be Bloodborne? Yeah,
that would be Bloodborne.
Okay.
And also it says RPG. It doesn't say action RPG. Does it?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's I couldn't tell anything about the gameplay from the trailer, but it did look like it had a really deep story that they actually cared about writing, like, to, movie level quality, which sounds weird considering how many crappy movies I've talked about.
Right. Speaking of crappy movies and video games, I guess Rampage is already out, and people are saying it's the dumbest movie that you'll love if you're into that kind of mood.
Will it really dethrone Godzilla Final Wars for me?
I don't know.
I still have to check out Rampage.
I was wondering, will Decker love this movie? Probably.
Oh, boy.
All right, so should we just rip off the Band-Aid and get our main topic over with?
I think
I'm worried it's going to take a lot of time, and we're going to get into a lot of different tangents and details and all that.
Okay, fair enough.
That is fair, yeah.
So
look forward to it, but
I'm not looking forward to it either. Trust me, it's been everywhere around the internet. You can't go 2 steps without somebody talking about it. So I guess we should just go
in the topic of taking former heroes down a peg, there's Carl Urban or Carl Urbane. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. I'm not sure how you pronounce anything. Is the starring in the Amazon superhero series The Boys.
Yes, that is true. So yes, there is based off of a superhero series because we have plenty of those, don't we? Written by Eric Kripke, based off of the comic book by Garth Ennis, the same guy who wrote Preacher. And Derek Robertson. The Boys is set in a world where superheroes embrace the darker side of their massive celebrity and fame. It revolves around a group of vigilantes known as the Boys, who are taking down corrupt superheroes with no more than blue-collar grit and a willingness to fight dirty. And yes, Carl Urban will be in this as the Boys leader, Billy Butcher. And there's going to be a bunch of other people in there as well. And it will be coming out... should be coming out soon around Amazon. So yeah, for those who are a little bit disappointed that he didn't get to stick around with Dread 2, there's another superhero series that you can watch with Carl Urban.
Oh,
yeah, it does sound kind of interesting. It almost kind of reminds me like a more darker version of Mystery Men. You know how like it's overpopulated with superheroes, and there's just kind of like the ragtag of superheroes who have the lame powers and they try to save people. So it's kind of like a darker version of that from the sounds of it.
It did not have Kel in it.
Yes, it did have Kel Mitchell. It had Kel Mitchell, who couldn't turn invisible, and it had Paul Rubens, who had a fart gun.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
No, not a fart gun. His superpower was that he fired explosive farts out of his ass every hour.
That's what it is. Speaking of Kel, I actually met him about last year, and he was a really cool guy, and he got surprisingly a decent amount of questions about Mystery Men, just as much as he got about All That and Good Burger.
I remember, the thing I remember about the movie was Janine Garofalo. I mean, probably, I think I got her name wrong. Is it Garofalo or Girafalo?
I've heard
it's Garofalo.
Garofalo. Okay, my bad then. I apologize.
But what place do I have to correct someone on how to pronounce the name?
Right. That's fair. But like, it's amazing you got mine the last name right the first time we met, and it only has 4 letters in it. Yeah, the thing I remember about Mystery Men is that it had her in it, and she was awesome in that movie. she played the bowler?
Yeah, the bowler.
Oh yeah.
She had
some father's skull in it?
Yeah, she had a father's skull and a bowling ball, yes.
And it gave the bowling ball like magic powers or something.
That was such a weird movie, yeah.
I had a strange crush on her at the time. I don't know why.
I know what you mean. I mean, like, there was just something very alluring about her.
Yeah, it's too bad we don't see her as much lately.
Mm-hmm. I know, that is sad. There was like this whole controversy back in the late 90s about whether or not she was actually the voice of Daria. People just assumed that was her voice of Daria, and that Tracy Grandstaff was a pseudonym that she was using for some reason. And when she finally was questioned about that, she was like, people think I'm cool enough to voice a character like Daria?
Well, she was really close to being the voice of Princess Fiona on Shrek.
I think I would have preferred that.
Yeah, because back then it was like Chris Farley was supposed to be Shrek and Janine Garofalo was supposed to be Fiona. And, you know, since Chris Farley's passing, and I guess because they wanted to, you know, for some reason, they never explained why, but they replaced her with Cameron Diaz. And she said, I don't know why. I guess that maybe because I sound like a man sometimes. I never knew why they replaced me. I mean, then again, you know, she would go into Titan AE and then she would go into Ratatouille.
Right. That's true. That's true. But
Bubba Wiggle says Shrekophalu would be amazing.
Yeah.
I love that, Shrekophalu.
Yeah. I do think that Mike Myers was the better choice for Shrek compared to
Chris Farley.
Chris Farley, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember there was a clip on YouTube that was released a few years ago when, you know, Shrek and Donkey are by the fireplace and they're talking about, you know, let's see, like, you know, they judge me before they even know me. That's why I hang out alone. And you hear Chris Farley in that scene, and it does definitely sound like Chris Farley. It also makes you wonder about what would have Chris Farley's portrayal of Shrek would have been like if he would have been alive during the time. There's actually a really nice documentary about Chris Farley that I highly recommend that you check out.
Mm.
Anyway, so The Boys. I'm sorry, we got off topic, but yeah, it sounds really interesting. Once again, I guess going into the craze of the superhero genre, going in a more darker direction. I guess, you know, Daredevil and Punisher's already been doing that at some point. So, should be interesting to check out.
Oh boy. I'm just seeing a bunch of requests for reviews or things just flying up in the chat. Iron Giant, Ready Player One, Winchester. I saw Zombies earlier.
Zombies?
Yeah, that's one that people have been requesting for a while. Or the one person has been requesting a lot for a while. I'm not sure which.
Interesting. I think Creepy already did the Iron Giant, right?
Yeah, it was some time ago, but yeah. That review was taken down and lost when because
oh yeah, that's right.
The old thing. But yeah, I was never a fan of The Boys. I just kind of like I read most of Preacher, and it had some good points, like enough to make me think that I'll watch the Netflix series. Or wait, is it? Well, I'll watch the TV series, but at the same time, I was like, The Boys just struck me as like it's too cynical even for me.
Okay.
Gabriel Torres, you tried that one already. How about Updog?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess so. I mean, to be fair, I guess they want to take the superheroes in a darker direction. There's been a lot of talks regarding about a particular superhero that had a dark tone in the '90s that is getting a reboot. So I guess we can go over to our next topic.
Oh yes,
I'm clever. Anyway, so we're going to be the next one we're going to be talking about is about the cult classic superhero movie called The Crow. I'm sure you guys know about that. Yes. So not only is it getting a reboot, but there have been discussions about some gender swapping and character changes. So The Crow is based off of Jim Barr's old novel and was famously played by Brandon Lee, who's Bruce Lee's son. And let's see. The new casting details for The Crow reboot seems to stick close to the original movie, but there have been some changes. For example, Albrecht and Top Dollar will be female in the reboot, as opposed to their male counterparts in the original. Top Dollar was the main villain in the first movie. It looks like T-Bird will be the main villain this time around. Finally, a new character named Ratso, who will be a pretty nasty scumbag. Let's see. T-Bird was played by David Patrick Kelly in the original version of The Crow. Oh, I thought it was Brandon Lee. Oh well.
Are they talking about the original movie or the sequels? Because Brandon Lee wasn't around for the sequels.
No,
that's right. Yeah, maybe they were talking about the sequel
or the TV show that they made.
There was a TV show?
Huh. Crow, Stairway to Heaven.
Interesting. Anyway, so yeah, okay. So read details about T-Bird below. 30, strong and wary, with the cold eyes of a wolf and an endless hunger where his heart should be, lacking in conscience, covered in prison ink, has taken over the old Hotel Reno on the outskirts of town, where he rolls with Top Dollar and his notorious gang. Today he's a made man. Let's see. The detective will be a female in the Crow reboot. Ernie Hudson played him in the original. And the rest of the details seem pretty close to the original as seen below. 40s, 50s, female, world-weary soul, haunted by the unsolved mysteries of Eric and Shelley, dealing with Marshall's issues and fighting an ever-increasing wave of crime and the corruption of the city. Oh, I forgot to read about T-Bird. She has been compared to Medusa, 20s, 30s, lean reptilian woman who's come of age amid lust and cruelty, has survived embracing both. So let's see. You can check out the rest of the character details for the Crow reboot starring Jason Momoa over at Dread Central. So if you want to know more information about that, go check that out.
Yeah, the gender swapping of characters.
Yeah.
They're minor characters, and I don't think it's going to affect the overall story. It's like they're not changing some major thing, but from what I can see, it's like, well, number one, it's you get brownie points for that anymore. You get people talking about your movie, so you get free publicity that way. And on the other hand, when it comes to the whole concept of a remake, a lot of people say, the original is you cannot touch it, which is understandable why. But this also, that does set to kind of state that this is a different beast without having to have all the focus on who is playing the Crow.
Yeah. I think we even talked about that with the recent the Spawn reboot, right? In which they're going to not focus too much on Spawn, and they're going to do some changes in the characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess they're doing the same thing for the Crow.
I believe there was a comic. It was obviously not the original one, but I believe that later, much later on, there was a new version of the Crow in the comic book where the titular resurrected. Well, calling them the Crow is really kind of a misnomer, but basically the protagonist was a female who was brought back to life. And when I heard gender flipped, I was actually hoping that or something like that would be, would be the direction they were taking it. This just feels kind of like they're trying to make a really big deal out of what's ultimately, and I really hate to say this, but they're making a really big deal out of nothing, or very little at the very least, because. Yeah. Well, they did throw some female characters into the mix, and I like that. But I feel like, yeah, but at the same time, you made female characters out of characters that don't really have a huge impact on the story or won't be causing any major changes to the plot. I mean, this is like saying it's a bit of a bigger deal than this, but it's kind of like, okay, you have a row of thugs in the background and they're all male. Now you take a couple of those male characters out and replace them with female characters, so you have a mixed group of thugs. Yeah, that's nice, but that's not really, it's not leaving an impact. It's just a very small detail that you changed.
Yeah, Key Imagination here expresses a bit of a concern. Says gender swap serves recently to cover for lacking scenario.
Mm-hmm. Mm. And you're right. I mean, there's probably been a lot more adaptations of The Crow and a lot more versions of it. So maybe they're just making a reboot based off of the newer comics.
Mm-hmm. But I would like to see a female, a movie about a female crow, basically, for want of a better way of putting it.
Hmm. Yeah, well, don't worry. If we're not going to have a female Crow, then we can always have a female Indiana Jones.
You're getting good at this.
I know. I'm on a roll tonight.
I will say that. I'm going to say something right here and now.
Okay.
I love the Indiana Jones. Well, okay. I was never a huge fan of Temple of Doom. I was like, no thanks. And believe it or not, I didn't hate Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It wasn't a great movie. It may not have even been an especially good movie, but I didn't think it was absolutely terrible. It was just, it was dumb, it was cheesy, but I'm like, look at the source material. Indiana Jones was a pastiche of pulp fiction adventure heroes, and they did battle with aliens and extra-dimensional creatures on like a daily basis. So I was like, yeah, okay, this does kind of fit. And I'm like, but I'll say this. I love the idea of Indiana Jones being a female character in a reboot. I love that idea, and I totally want to see that.
Yes, let's read more information about it from The Hollywood Reporter. Steven thinks it's about time that moviegoers meet Indiana Joan, because why from Jones to Joan? That doesn't, I can understand if you change the nickname, but why the last name? I don't even know. The director revealed to The Sun earlier this week of having Harrison Ford's iconic Indiana Jones character being played as a woman. We decided to change the name, and there would be nothing wrong with that, although I think it's kind of pointless.
Yeah, Sweating Rebels says, Lara Croft!
Yes, we're going to name her Laura... I don't know. We're going to name her Laura. We're just, drop the last name. She's going to be like Madonna. Just Laura. Anyway, Spielberg and Harrison Ford are set to reunite to film the 5th installment of Indiana Jones next April, but the director confirmed that will be the final time of playing the professor, which it's about freaking time. And I think we even discussed that in the last live stream, that we admit that, Harrison Ford's getting old. So, good on him that he's going to try another crack at Indiana Jones, because, I guess Kingdom of the Crystal Skull just wasn't a good send-off, but, we kind of agreed to that. So, yeah, there's, more discussions about, who's going to play her. Don't know for sure. And the 5th installment of Indiana Jones will begin filming in April 2019. So, I guess we'll be talking about more details on that in the next coming months.
Oh, boy. Yeah. So, I was just thinking, at this age, Harrison Ford would be using his whip as sort of a cane, just grab onto a light pole and just hold himself up and pull him to the next one, grab onto the fire hydrant and just pull, just keep going on his way to get his Metamucil, you know.
Chalice Gary says Laura Cortofalo. Cortofalo. Indiana, says Brandon. Indiana. Oh, that's nice. Indiana.
Oh boy. So yeah, gender swapping Indiana Jones. I think the way they're writing it, the way they're saying it, it's kind of weird because on the one hand, we've experienced a gender swapped Indiana Jones already with the character of Lara Croft. But the thing is, that's all well accepted because number one, she got and also because it is a different character. Now, some refer to Creed as sort of a race-swapped Rocky, but in the Rocky universe, it's a different character and well accepted. No one says, "Oh, that's Black Rocky," because it's not Black Rocky; it's Creed. So, female Indiana Jones is like the female Ghostbusters are called female Ghostbusters because in the way the story is written, they are the Ghostbusters. The original Ghostbusters didn't exist. They aren't new characters. They take over the role of the previously male characters.
Yeah. Trey Stewart says, how about a Dick or Shado gender swap?
You see, I've already done like the makeup and stuff, so I could just go a little bit further, I guess. I don't know.
That would mean you have to shave, though.
That's what the sisters were referring to.
Oh, okay.
Dimeblade 17 wrote Indiana Jones and the Retirement Home Curse. I think they had a movie about that. I think it's called Bubba Hotep.
Oh yeah, I got to review that one still.
Indiana Jones and the Metamucil of Doom. Indiana Jones and the Midnight Toilet Visit.
Indiana Jones and the Trial of Lumbago.
Oh god.
Indiana Jones and the cafeteria food of Indiana Jones and the cafeteria food of doom. I put on that last one. I always do.
All right. I think we're done. But I think I remember a few years ago that James from Manic Expression mentioned in his old series, what if they remade this? And one of them was about Indiana Jones. And I think he talked about that he would have liked seeing, Idris Elba as Indiana Jones, kind of like take a different direction into it. And I thought it was a pretty interesting idea. You know, somebody who is, African-American in the 1930s and 40s, in a time in which there were very few of that, and being, judged by, his adventures, but at the same time proving time and time again about all the accomplishments that he was able to do. So I kind of like that. And you're right. I mean, we already have a female Indiana Jones in the form of Lara Croft. So that should be interesting. Oh, Scott Duncan says, Indiana Jones and the hidden seek of his great-grandkids.
Oh, God. Now we're getting some requests from Depraved Diptera and Troth Phoenix for Chibi-Thulu gender swap. But I'm wondering, is Chibi-Thulu technically genderless?
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Chibi-Thulu identifies as male but is genderless. Basically is like, okay, I don't have a gender, but I identify with male gender, but I also identify with LGB stuff, even though I don't have a sex drive or any interest in romantic entanglements. So
don't try to understand it, you'll just go mad.
Right.
Exactly.
Basically, his entire interest and personality is designed to confuse and or make you crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Manic Idiot says non-binary Chibi-Thulu.
Non-binary Chibi-Thulu. That sums it up.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, I mean, that would be kind of interesting. I mean, like, what would Chibi-Thulu sound like if he was a woman? Like, hey, everybody, we're going to be talking about Gem and the holograms. Creepy, don't do this again. I swear to God. I don't know. Sorry, Yama. I didn't mean to be insulting of your work. Okay. So, I think that, the fact that we are getting a fifth Indiana Jones movie, and if this is supposed to be the conclusion, then Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, since Indiana Jones has become a major staple in our pop culture, I would like to see where they would take the reboot. $2 donation from DimeBlade17 asks, Decker, how's Tremor 6 sound to you?
To me, it sounds like my pre-order on Amazon went through, and I should be expecting it in a couple weeks or so.
Yeah, that should be fun. I think in your Instagram you did post it about like some of the movies that you might be doing for future reviews, and your cat was covering it.
Yeah. I was trying to take a nice little picture, and Koban just kept jumping up. So I'm like, okay, it keeps the mystery alive. Whatever.
The Freak Play says gender swap Chibi Thulu could sound like Fran Drescher. That's nice. Yeah. Yeah, that should be fun.
Now, Kevin Bardine's saying next they're going to remake Friday the 13th with Jason as a woman. That sounds kind of awesome. I've seen some really nice female Jason. I don't know what would you call, what would be the female equivalent of the name Jason? I just call it Miss Voorhees.
Or like Jeanette Voorhees.
Josie Voorhees.
Yeah, Josie. I like Josie. Josie
Yes.
Voorhees.
Josie Voorhees and the Pussycats.
Well, either way, every time someone does some nice art of that, they tend to do it to make it look like the female, like all the female costumes in Halloween. So I like it.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, that's another
no one would run in those movies. It just turned like, damn, and just head gets chopped in half.
What would her motivate? Okay, Josie Voorhees. Her mother worked in the kitchen at Camp Crystal Lake, but she was picked on by all of the other girls for mean girl excuse reasons. Like,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah, I mean, of course, Jason was kind of deformed and stuff, but we want Josie to be hot. So,
yes, we want Josie to be hot, and we want to ridicule her for being extremely hot. It's like an anime in which you have the shy.
hot.
Yeah, it's like an anime in which the shy girl has the big boobs. So kind of like that.
Right. Yeah. So do we keep the going swimming thing, or do we like go for the extreme cruelty and have her tied up, put inside of a bag, beaten with sticks, and then thrown off the pier into the lake? Like,
I like that one.
You know, it's like, because it needs to be especially cruel. We need to.
Yeah, we got to have the mean girls in there who are the preppy popular girls.
Right.
So Josie has to have some other kind of issues, like maybe some severe social anxiety. She's at camp to try because her mother wants to help get over that. Also, she works there. She thinks it'll be good for her, but the rest of the counselors don't give a fuck about her daughter.
Yeah.
And it all works together. And it's this big evil little. It's just a perfect storm of bitchies.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's this bottle of rage inside of her that's just waiting to get unscrewed and go off. Yeah. And like, yeah, but I'm like, the Jason's backstory was that he died. Well, he was bullied, but he died more due to negligence than outright cruelty.
Yep.
Or
that's why the counselor's not caring has to tie in. You have to have the negligent part in there.
Right.
Why do I suddenly want to reboot Friday the 13th with titties? Like more titties? Because the first one, the killer was female already.
Great. If we're going to be including like a version of that plus the male genitalia, we might as well be doing like Game of Thrones edition.
Like, wait, so Camp Crystal Lake is suddenly filled with waving dongs or something? Actually, though, if you take Camp Crystal Lake and put in a bunch of Game of Thrones style male dogs, then you end up with Sleepaway Camp, or at the very least, the last.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, we have to make it darker and edgier, but also hotter and sexier. So Josie Voorhees is captured by all the mean girls and thrown into the lake while she's chained up. So she drowns as a result of that. And the camp counselors are just like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yes, exactly.
There's your negligence.
There you go. We did it. We created a gender swap Friday the 13th. You're welcome, Hollywood.
Yeah. I was always disappointed that they didn't do more with Mrs. Voorhees. After the first movie, she was just kind of in the background. She
was ahead.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair point. I mean,
But I mean, at least Senua carried around. What was his name?
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember the name of the head that she had.
I don't remember.
I just watched Charlie play through that whole game twice. I gotta remember the name of this guy's head.
Yeah, I'm sure that somebody will be posting it in the chat.
I've just got Nedry going, Dotson, we've got Dotson here. I'm like, it's not Dotson. Oh god.
But no, I mean, I look at everybody's in the chat is like saying gender swap every other horror icon.
Gender swap the Thing.
Gender swap
The Thing.
Michael Myers.
The Thing from Another World. The book. Who goes there? The art. It had female parts to it. But, you know, when you go up to Antarctica and you have the movie, every single character's male. So it didn't get a chance to get any female parts.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's fair enough.
Though in the original film adaptation where the Thing was changed into a plant monster, they had a female there for the fact that it was a 50s movie and you always have to end on a romance.
Right. There was how about a gender swapped Freddy Krueger? Francis Krueger? Frankie Krueger?
Francine, I like Francine.
Yeah, like what would that backstory be?
Let's see. I think that maybe let's see. Francine, like maybe she didn't get. Let's see. I mean, what was the backstory for why Freddy?
Freddy, he was a child killer. He used to like he would hunt down, capture underage kids, and then lock them in his boiler room of doom, where he'd torture and murder them.
Maybe we can go all Elizabeth Bathory, in which she would take people and then she would like cut them up and like bathe in their blood because she thought that it made her young. Maybe we can go into that direction. Yeah, like that could be like in the opening flashback where the newspapers are flying by. That can be the newspaper headline: Elizabeth Bathory of Elm Street.
Ooh, the horrible death of Freddy Krueger that led to his burnt skin was the fact that when he was finally arrested, they didn't file the paperwork right when they were doing so. So he got off on a technicality and he walked free. And then the people were like, oh, hell no. And they just fucking burnt his ass to death.
Right. It's like, yeah. So we could keep that part in, Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah. But then as revenge, she starts, Francine Krueger comes back and is haunting all the dreams of the teenage girls on Elm Street because, why not? Of course. And I'm going to get even with everyone who spoiled my alternative answer to Maybelline and Avon. So.
Right. Zagerman King says, male Tomb Raider would star some shit. They did that. It's called Uncharted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Darbo Hates Everyone says, you guys should make these movies. Well, we would love to. That would be fun. But
it's tough making movies.
Yeah, it is. And we haven't given up our souls to the Hollywood greed in order for us to do that kind of stuff.
I mean, I kind of did.
Well, anyway, so I guess we can talk. Okay, well, because we're into the topic of women and horror, let's talk about another topic involving with an iconic writer of classic horror and having a biopic based off of her work. For those who are wondering, we are talking about Mary Shelley, the author who is very well known for writing the book Frankenstein. There's a trailer for it, and it is about her life. And she will be played by Elle Fanning, who is Dakota Fanning's sister. So, let's see. Mary Shelley is the name of both the woman behind the story and a new movie about her life that is due this spring from IFC Films. Elle Fanning stars as Mary, who was a teenager and apparently a rebellious one named Mary Wollstonecraft, whom she met the poet Percy Shelley and began a passionate love affair. It stars their whirlwind romance, which is a scandal at the time because he was already married. And then, she gave birth and then the baby daughter died. And then it sparked her inspiration for Frankenstein. And so it gives a little bit more information about Mary Shelley's life and about how eventually it was spun over to the Universal movies and all the other movies that were inspired by Frankenstein and blah, 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 blah. Should be arriving in theaters May 25th and VOD June 1st, and the trailer is in the description below. So
I'm excited about this. Mary Shelley, just as a person, was kind of awesome. And, you know, she did kind of kickstart the whole concept of modern Western science fiction as a whole, as a genre. You know, with just this one novel, it sparked a trend that eventually just snowballed over decades into its own genre. And that
I like what she has done for horror and science fiction and all that. Obviously, the movie aspect of it's like, we're going to focus on her life. I'm like, why? And then in the article, I don't know how it's going to be handled in the movie, but in the article when they're talking about, it was seen at the time as a little scandalous that she was fucking a married man. I'm like, oh, well, I wonder why.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like the plot of a Jane Austen movie or a book. You know, a girl who is of lower class meets an upperclassman, and they do not like each other at first, but then they do. But then, there's some behind the scenes controversy that is going on, and then something bad happens, but then there's a happy ending. So yeah, it definitely does sound like a Jane Austen
film. Sounds like it will be noteworthy at the very least. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, go ahead.
That's just that came up, and I don't want it to go too far up, and then I got to search for it. Well, you were talking, and I just jumped on you. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I do that a lot.
It's okay. But yeah, you're right, Creepy, that Mary Shelley was definitely one of the main inspirations of why we even have the horror genre in the first place. I'm actually curious, did Frankenstein come out before Bram Stoker's Dracula, or was it afterwards?
I think it was before.
Okay.
I can't be certain.
Okay.
I mean, Bram Stoker's Dracula is contemporary horror. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is science fiction horror.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and Bram Stoker's Dracula, I want to say, came out in the late 1800s, like 18. Actually, what am I doing? I have the internet.
Scott Duncan says after.
Okay, after. All right then.
Okay. Well, okay. Place your bets now.
But I'm wondering now, what if we gender swap Mary Shelley?
You know what? Maybe that should be our Twitter poll for this week.
Best gender swap character?
Sure. But what is the best gender swap character? Is it Francine Kruger, Josie Voorhees? Let's see. We need to think of another one. How about maybe Michelle Myers?
Michelle Myers, or
I'm still writing best gender swap character. I got to get these names down. Okay.
Yeah. And let's see if we can. Okay, now I need to think
Shelley.
of Michael Shelley.
Okay, so
sure, let's do that.
Also, for those of you
who are Kruger, Josie
Voorhees, Michelle Myers.
Okay.
And Michael Shelley.
Michael Shelley.
Okay, almost got it.
All right, sweet.
All right.
Okay, GM Creed says Frankenstein came out in 1818 and Dracula came out in 1897.
Yeah, I had the page open, so I was going to say once everybody was done, I was like, Dracula came out in 1897, so it wasn't 1870s. I got it wrong, but it did. Frankenstein did come out first.
Okay.
All right then. Okay. Live and Wired poll: best gender swapped character: Francine Kruger, Josie Voorhees, Michelle Myers, or Michael Shelley.
Okay.
Got 30 minutes starting now at Decker Shado on Twitter. I'm tweeting this out. I got to grab the link and give it to Patricia.
All right.
Now my brain is formulating the script for the gender swapped Halloween movie.
That would be. Oh, Zagerman Keen says Jane the Ripper.
Jane the Ripper.
Love it.
Oh boy.
Male go-go boys are being stalked through New Orleans by Jane the Ripper.
Oh God.
All right, here you go, guys. I just posted the Twitter poll on the chat. Have fun.
And I'm about
But
to
yeah,
edit.
a gender-swapped Halloween. 17-year-old virgin Benjamin Robitel is consigned to babysitting one Friday night on Halloween. And unbeknownst to him, his secret, long-lost serial killer sister is stalking the streets of Haddonfield wearing a white mask and a janitor's uniform. A sexy janitor's uniform.
Nice. All right. So,
Adding
I
that to
love
the description.
look on your face, by the way, when I said that.
all right.
I love the look on your face, Decker, when I said that, by the way.
I was trying to get work done, sir.
Right.
Barlow Tardy came up with a better name, Murray Shelley.
Murray Shelley. Why didn't we think of that?
Gabriel Torres is Martin Sheen.
Hold on. It says that the link is not working. Let me just try again. Hold on, guys.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, you're okay.
So is Murray Shelley still having an affair with a married man, or do we switch, or is he having an affair with a married woman this time?
Ooh, let's go.
We can still have a married have it be a married man, just to have it that much more controversial.
Yeah. Let's go let's go all Virginia Woolf, and maybe have like a little question about the question of the author's sexuality.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be very interesting.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, I guess we can go over to our next topic. Let's take a break from the movies and focus on video games.
Ruined everyone's childhood without the aid of Hollywood.
Yeah, so let's take a break from that, ruining people's childhoods, and let's see. Oh wait. Oh. Thank you, Capcom. You just got rid of the blog that I was going to be posting up my stuff from. I really do appreciate it. Jerks.
I actually didn't check that blog because I already knew what it was, knew the topic, and I also knew something I was angry about.
Yeah. All right. Well, because they got rid of the article, thank you, Capcom. I'll have to get it from another source that doesn't crash on me. All right. So. Okay, on video game news, we will be getting rid of this quote of the day and talking about Mega Man X Legacy Collection will be released this summer and will be coming over to the Switch. It is a collection of all of the Mega Man X games from 1 to 8. Similar to how the playing off the commercial. There we go. Similar to how this time last year, in which Mega Man Legacy Collection had 1 through 10, Capcom will be doing the same thing with the Mega Man X series. They're going to be splitting into 2. Mega Man Legacy Collection has 1 through 4, and Mega Man X Legacy Collection 2 will have 5 through 8. And they'll be coming out this summer, I believe. Yeah, July 24th. So, yeah, I'm actually really excited about it because I am actually a big Mega Man fan.
Awesome.
And I am ticked off because Capcom is still only putting half of the game on the cartridge for the Switch and saying you got to download the other part.
Yeah, that's true. That does suck. But
we did collection they have of Mega Man games. They actually put they use the smallest card possible, the 1 gigabyte card, to put the smallest game possible on that. And the other game that's like 4 gigabytes, they're like, you got to download that. Mm-hmm. And it's like, Capcom, this isn't you're charging $30 for this. You can spring for a 4 gig card.
Yeah. But we did know what happened the last time that they did, release more of the Mega Man games and gain access to it. If the votes go really well, we might even get a Mega Man X9. Who knows?
That could be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the same thing happened in which people just wanted more classic Mega Man. That was like, believe it or not, over 10 years ago at this point, in which Mega Man 9 came out. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I'm old.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe sometime in the future we will be getting, more Mega Man X games. And who knows, maybe there'll be more legacy collections, like maybe you have Battle Network or Star Force or something like that.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, that would be.
Capcom hasn't. I mean, just Legends 2.
Legends only has like 3 games. So that'll be a trilogy.
The last Legends game, did it never come out, I think, still?
Yes, Mega Man Legends 3 was canceled.
Yeah, they were like, okay, it's going to be a 3DS launch title. Then they were saying, actually, only a demo is going to be available at launch. And then they were saying, actually, it's not going to be until later, and you're going to have to pay for the demo, and we're going to decide based on how well the demo sells whether or not we're even going to finish the game. And then they said, actually, we're never even going to release the demo. Fuck it.
Yeah, that really disappointed a lot of Mega Man Legends fans, especially since they've been waiting for a long time for a Mega Man Legends sequel. And then there was like a lot of participation from the Capcom community, and then the fans created like some bosses and additional characters. So yeah, because Keiji Inafune left Capcom around that time and did Concept, the combination of that, they just canceled it, which is a real shame, to be quite honest, because I know a lot of people really wanted that. So
Trey Stewart's asking, does anybody know what happened to Keiji Inafune after Mighty No. 9 and ended up bombing?
No mentions of it yet. I mean, I don't even know if he's even working on that other, like, I know he was like kickstarting another game that was supposed to be a revival / reboot to, or no, a spiritual successor. That's what I meant to say. Spiritual successor to Mega Man Legends. I forget what it was called, like Red something. But yeah, I haven't heard anything from Inafune since Mighty No. 9. But then again, because everybody hated that game, well, not everybody, but a lot of people thought it was either a major disappointment or they just flat out hated it. Yeah, I haven't heard from him in a while. Red Ash. Thank you so much, Trace Stewart. Red Ash was the spiritual successor for Legends. So
all I've seen is like on like Mighty Gunvolt. There's just like some sort of like mishmash of characters in different games, and Mighty No. 9 keeps popping up in a couple of side games. Like, hi, I'm a playable character in his. And I was like, what the hell are you doing here?
I think that maybe Concept worked on that game, maybe like helped part of it. I think I do know that Concept also helped with a few other games as well. During the time in which they were doing Mighty No. 9. And I haven't heard anything from Red Ash ever since that reveal during the time of Mighty No. 9. So yeah, that should be interesting. But yeah, going back to Mega Man, the X series. Yeah, I think that it would be kind of interesting about how many people would buy Legacy 2 as opposed to the first one, because not to say that the later games of the X series were bad, but they were just kind of mediocre, and well, X7 was a train wreck, but yeah.
Thoth Phoenix says Gunvolt was a true successor to Mega Man X, plus Digital Diva waifus.
Ah. Nice. But yeah, I'm actually really excited about it because I mean, for the longest time, like especially a lot of the Mega Man X games, some of them are like really hard to find, and I'm glad that they're available digitally. It's kind of like when Mega Man Legends 1 and 2 were released on the PlayStation Network. And, back then, if you really wanted to get a copy of it, you had to get from the original PlayStation, and they cost a lot of money. Like, they were like huge collector's values because the games didn't do so well when they were first selling. But, yeah, I think that finally, having the opportunity to play through the Mega Man X games is fantastic. And I'm looking forward to seeing what will come of that.
Ooh, ow, broke my arms. Yeah. In terms of games, one of the things about games is you always have, like, no matter what, you always have this idea that from whenever it's talked about on the news that all games are intended for kids. And it seems that games aren't the only thing that are being viewed as being intended for kids no matter what.
Oh, yeah, let's go into that. So, besides the other YouTube news we'll be covering, which I know we're delaying it, but we have reason. We have another bit of YouTube news because we love covering that. So, yeah, according to this article from Slate, YouTube is for children. Why does this platform protest so much that it's not? So, yeah. Let's take a look to see why somebody says that YouTube is for children. To bolster their case, the group shared screenshots of Barbie advertisements said to appear between videos aimed at children. They pointed out to a number of channels for toddlers and preschools within Google Preferred, a collection of the top videos on the main YouTube site that are vetted and packaged for advertisers. In response, YouTube has adopted the Casablanca effect. It is shocked to find that children are watching videos in this establishment. YouTube is not for children, the company told them. But in an email statement, it went on to tout its kid-friendly YouTube Kids app, which we actually talked about a million times over this, this live and Wired stream. But yeah, apparently there is a YouTube channel called Ryan Toys Reviewed, where Ryan, a child opening and playing with toys alongside with his family, has 13 million subscribers. And there's a few of his videos right here on the bottom. Arcade claw machine for surprise toys with Ryan Toys Review. So this kid has 13 million subscribers where he talks about toys. He puts my subscriber count to shame. And then there's this exercise song for children. More than 37 million people have watched the second video, which is one of the worst videos I've ever seen. If you, of course, you think that you're an adult, this video is not meant to you. If you're and you're right, it is viewed by children. And they go into more details about oh, YouTube is for kids, but YouTube's not for kids. So yeah, it's complicated. So.
It's so infuriating, insane, kind of like I'm looking at that like, what is YouTube? What's Google supposed to do in this situation? Because on the one hand, people are being told that their content is far too, you said poop with an angry tone in your voice. You can't have ads. You got to be family friendly, and then you make family friendly content. And you got everyone coming from coming from out of the woodwork saying, "How dare you appeal to children? That's a specific targeting on a vulnerable population." And it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's just crazy to see that. We have to strict down a platform to a higher demographic because they're too young to see it.
Mm. Yeah, and also someone's mentioning someone how they don't like the Paul brothers and such, and it's like, that's one thing that was pointed out in the article was that the Paul brothers, well, their audience is made up of mostly younger people. Mm-hmm. It's like. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure the event that shall not be named was not something that is something you were supposed to find on YouTube Kids.
Right. And we have talked about all the stuff that they've been posting on YouTube, like fake videos about how the world is flat and, all this other controversial left-wing or right-wing stuff. I mean, we've been talking about YouTube's craziness for the past couple of months now, and it's gotten to the point in which we can find like the most random things, and we'll just say, yeah, that sounds like what YouTube would be doing.
It's just starting to just become white noise at this point.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know that in the last live stream we could have talked about, Logan Paul is going to be having a show on YouTube Red. It's like, I don't care. Yeah. So let's just finish that. But yeah, I mean, according to YouTube, YouTube is not for kids. But there's a YouTube channel that has over 13 million subscribers that proves otherwise.
Well, it's like, just because a bunch of small children play Call of Duty doesn't mean that Activision is in the wrong. They have an M rating on that box. The parents letting them play Call of Duty, it's on them. Parents letting their children watch YouTube, it's on them. It should be supervised. You should know what your children are doing. You should be involved in whatever they're taking in as entertainment. And if YouTube is got the agreement saying you are at least 13 and everything else is all squared away, just because some people make family-friendly content on the platform doesn't negate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite something. I think that I think parents, you should monitor what your kids are watching and pay more close attention to them. That way they don't have to worry about being, glued into something that may not be appropriate for them. That could be the problem.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, better idea, just know what your kids are watching.
Yeah.
I've gone into this tangent before, so I won't go off on the rails. But yeah, like, just that's part of being a grown-up. And
Manic Idiot says, No, Decker. Personal responsibility is not the right way to think about it. It's up to the producers to please everyone simultaneously.
Yeah, that's wishful thinking.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Thanks, House.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go over to our next topic. Let's take a break from all this news and let's talk about opinions because everybody loves those. We're going to be talking about a particular top 5 list stated by Rob Zombie himself. So a while back we did talk about that Rob Zombie was going to be doing a sequel to what was it? Crap, I forgot what the name was. But anyway, so Rob Zombie is according to this particular list, Devil's Rejects. Thank you. Okay, so in this particular article, Rob Zombie talks about the top 5 worst horror movies ever made. So let's see. A good horror movie is hard to make, which hasn't stopped a whole lot of wannabe auteurs from trying. Once upon a time, Rob Zombie was one of those wannabes, but fortunately for both his fans and fans of horror movies in general, he had the decency to go about it without rehashing every worn-out fright flick cliche or thinking that an array of jump scares is enough to justify the average theatergoer's hard-earned dollars. So let's take a look at what he thinks are the top 5 worst horror movies ever made. And apparently there's a link to his favorite horror movies, but I guess we'll get into that later. So, number 5, Dracula. Oh, wait. Well, it's not listed, but in particular order, but here it is. Number 1, Dracula 2000. This may be the worst movie ever committed to film. I found every single thing about it to be offensive from top to bottom. You just stare at it in shock. I especially hate the fact they dropped a Virgin Megastore product placement in the film every 10 seconds. It's the most disgusting piece of shit I've ever seen. Dracula is a tough character to play. You got to really bring something to the table, and I don't remember the guy in the movie. Everything about this movie is complete horseshit. Yeah. I've never seen this movie. I haven't even heard of this movie right before looking into this list.
Yeah, I've seen it. Dracula was played by Gerard Butler.
Really?
Also played the Phantom in the Phantom of the Joel Schumacher Phantom of the Opera movie.
Yes, that's right. Lindsay Ellis did a fantastic video about that movie. Yeah. It's awful. It's wow.
This is the point of no.
Yes, curse you little lying Delilah.
Yeah. Like after she was standing behind him and pulling at that mask for like 5 minutes, she finally managed to get it off, and then he acted surprised that it came off.
Right. Yeah, I've never seen Dracula 2000 though, but oh my god, this definitely. I mean, I remember when the year 2000 came along and everything had to be called 2000 because it was so futuristic.
Yeah,
like I just remember also so many sequels just popped up out of really old properties right around 2000. I was sitting there looking at it like, did people just make a whole bunch of pacts and now they're just realizing it?
Yeah, by calling something 2000,
make another one of these before the year 2000. Oh,
yeah, calling something 2000. I mean, by the time 2001 comes along, you're gonna look immediately dated.
Right, and like Pokemon got
if my mouse could work. Okay, we've got a $10 super chat from, if I can do this right. Okay, Crown the Empire. Watching YouTube? No, YouTube watches you. Also, have you ever seen Never Hike Alone or Laid to Rest 1 and 2? Great films, highly recommended. Smiley face.
Never seen them.
Never heard of them, but
Never Hike Alone or Laid to Rest 1 and 2. I've heard of Laid to Rest, and I have not seen either yet, and now I'm ashamed of myself. I am full of shame.
Shame. All right, let's go to number 2. Okay, number 2, The Mummy Returns from 2001. This was a 10th generation crappy Raiders of the Lost Ark ripoff, but I can't really pick it apart that closely because I couldn't get all the way through it. That to me is a sign of a bad movie. Watch the third one, it's even worse. Or maybe the Mummy reboot with Tom Cruise. That's also pretty bad. But yeah,
So I like how
mean,
the first little reason given is a little paragraph, not too long, not too short, and like the rest of this list is just a tweet.
yeah, pretty much. But yeah, The Mummy Returns. Yeah, it's pretty okay, I guess. I mean, as a sequel to The Mummy, but they even made an animated series based off of this movie.
Right.
Yeah, Anthony Lacco puts it well. Wait, Mummy Returns was horror?
I know,
I didn't
right?
think so.
Yeah, it doesn't seem. I mean, even though that it's. I mean, the 90. What was it? When did it come out? Like 99. I think so, but yeah. So that movie was, it was a remake of the Boris Karloff Mummy. So yeah, I mean, admittedly, the reboot of this particular Mummy franchise with Brendan Fraser is more Indiana Jones style than actual horror. So I guess I can kind of see where he's going at, but I think that 3 and the reboot are even worse. So, okay, let's go to the next one. Number 3. Number 3, the remake of Psycho from 1998. I picked this not because it's the worst movie ever made, but because it's the most pointless movie ever made. To take a perfect film made by a genius and remake it, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Which I kind of agree, because it's pretty much a shot-for-shot remake of the 1960s movie. I think you even mentioned that when you were talking about the 70s biopic of Ed Gein.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which you were talking about, like, the original Psycho was a timeless movie, despite the fact that it came out in black and white, that the remake was sort of pointless.
Yeah. I feel like that was something you said.
Yeah.
This is something a lot of people said. I think I brought it up because, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, the remake of Psycho was just sort of shot for shot. Here it is exactly the same. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
I'm just watching the same movie. Just
Yeah,
you shot it
and
again.
yeah, to be quite honest, come on, Vincent Vaughn as Norman Bates, really?
Mm.
I mean, let's be honest. I think that the best way that Bates Motel is a better telling, kind of like a better reboot or prequel of Psycho than this. It doesn't even need to exist.
And there's the other question of like, this is actually the first thing on the list he said that I really agree with, because, Dracula 2000 is a pretty bad film, but it's one of those bad films that can still entertain you, from time to time. Mm-hmm. I actually disagree. I did like the Mummy movie. I thought it was funny. I enjoyed it. But this, when I heard that they were remaking Psycho, and I was just kind of like, why?
Yeah.
Why bother?
Yeah, well, now we're going to go into your territory, Creepy, because number 4 is Scream 2. When I saw Scream 2 on TV, I just hated it. Though it could have been Scream 3, I can't remember which one it was, but that's never a good sign. So I decided it was Scream 2. Okay. Oh, I don't know which movie that I hated, whether it was the third or the second one. I'm just going to choose the second one because why not?
I don't even know how to
actual research on for this list. I'm not even going to fucking Google these movies. Fuck it. One of them was really bad. Okay, I saw part of it once.
And I love how you remember which horror it was. It was Halloween that Rob Zombie remade, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember how people hated it. The people were like so excited that Rob Zombie was making this movie, right up until they saw the movie and were like, "This is shit."
Ingy Bingy 2000 for $2 super chat. Summer of what in 2018? Please be Jackie Chan.
Ooh.
And I am sorry to disappoint, not Jackie Chan, but I also still want it to be a surprise. I don't know. Maybe it's a terrible idea.
He hasn't told me either, so I don't know what it is. So
I don't know what it is either.
Yeah.
All right, let's go over to finally number 5. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Once again, dopey teen actors being menaced by what? The Morton Fisherman guy? That's not a horror movie. That's barely a Nancy Drew mystery. Jennifer Love Hewitt would have to be riding on a pony stark naked to make this worthwhile. Wow.
Nerdbane says, someone give Rob a movie review show. He's a natural.
I feel like that's an oddly specific request to make for a movie, but okay.
Yeah, is it the fact that was it? Yeah, I think that was the fact that wasn't Jennifer Love Hewitt in the was that her in the Horse Whisperer TV series?
She was in the Ghost Whisperer.
Ghost Whisperer, that's what it was. Not Horse Whisperer. Ghost Whisperer. So maybe I don't know, but yeah, that's weird. Like, in order for Rob Zombie to enjoy I Know What You Did Last Summer, Jennifer Love Hewitt would have to ride on a horse naked.
Yeah, like
okay.
Okay, then.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So should we talk about what he considers the best horror movies, or should we go to another topic?
I think we should probably move on to another topic.
All right. So if you guys do want to know about what his bests are, check out revolvermagazine.com, and you just click on that little link right over here where he was discussing about the worst horror movies, and you'll find out what his best are. So yeah, leave that up to you guys. So.
Oh boy, Summer of Channel Awesome. No.
Yeah. You know what? Because I showed it. Yeah. Let's get this over with.
Yeah.
Let's rip this Band-Aid off once and for all. So, yeah, we already know about the whole change the channel awesome controversy. So, yeah, we already talked. Everybody's been talking over the last couple of weeks about how they were being mistreated. There was a lot of sexism. People were not getting paid properly. People were treated in harsh conditions for the crossover movies. The 10th anniversary movie was being canceled. They didn't even was announced with it. It's, oh my God, it's been a colossal mess.
Also, just really quick, just got a $50 super chat.
Woo!
From Just Another Black Man. Says, to be truthful, the Mummy trilogy was not as bad as everyone thinks to me. Yes, the Tomb of the Dragon Emperor was nowhere near the caliber of the first two, but it could have been the Tom Cruise version. By the way, love all you guys. You inspire me.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you
very much. And I do agree. You know, the Mummy movies aren't great, but I don't think they're terrible. You know, they're fun.
They're not terrible.
They're fun. They're fun movies to watch. You know, like get some friends together, make some popcorn, put some butter on it, and pop in the Mummy movies. You have a whole 6 hours of fun on your hands right there.
Yeah. I do agree, and if you want to spend a few extra hours, you could even watch the animated series based off of the second movie.
Right.
Yeah. Which I remember when that was being advertised a lot on Kids WB, but I don't recall anybody even talking about that series. I mean, I do know there was the Godzilla animated series based off of the '98 movie, and I know some people liking that.
The movie was shit, but I actually thought the TV series was pretty cool.
I did hear a lot about it. Apparently, it's kind of like, you have a group of people who, team up with Godzilla, and they're like fighting like a monster of the week kind of thing. It sounds pretty interesting.
It is. I liked it, but we're kind of
I know. We're delaying it. We're sorry. Yeah. Okay, so
I hated to say it, but
yeah, I know. Don't worry about it. Some readers might be aware of the independent American media website Channel Awesome and its eponymous profile on YouTube. Over the last decade, the company has grown into a popular movie, television, and games review platform. Many of its videos featuring founding member Doug Walker, known as that guy with the glasses or the nostalgia critic. From 2010 to 2015, the site featured a significant amount of contributions from people who would become YouTube stars in their own right, including Andrew Dickman, Kyle Calgren, Alison Pregler, Phelan Porteous, and Lindsay Ellis. There's been particularly fractious time for the Normality Cooperative business with a series of historical claims of misconduct, which is on a huge file on Google Docs. I'm not even joking. It is like over 60 or 70 pages long.
Yes.
I read half of it.
Yeah, I've read half of it too. Aaron Meta and I, we did a live stream of us reading through it, and we got so tired that we just stopped. And we said we were going to do a part 2, but then we never got around to it because it just became just overwhelming and we couldn't keep up with it. So if you want to, dedicate a few minutes or maybe an hour of your time reading it, then good luck. And
there is an abridged version that's 6 pages, but
good. But it still contains awful stuff, like really, really awful stuff. It's a combination of, people who were, obviously too greedy for their own good. It was a combination of too much money, too much power, and just extremely negligible behavior of how they treated their contributors and their collaborators. So, yeah, if you want to give a view on everything that's been talked about, then go ahead, because you'll have yourself quite a headache afterwards.
I've read the document.
Also, just got another super chat. 20 Canadian dollars from Nicholas Humphreys. Decker, please review The Lure. It's a Polish musical about homicidal stripper mermaids who join a strip club in the 1980s. Also, can you review Leviathan, Brain Damage, From Beyond, and The Void?
Oh, nice. Good. These are...
So that sounds awesome. Homicidal stripper mermaids that joined a strip club in the 80s? I'm there. Well, I mean, to make it rain, but I'm still there.
This sounds like a movie that's right up your alley.
Yeah, absolutely.
20 Canadian dollars.
It sounds like a movie on Midnight Wank Theater, too. So it could have been either, really.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I wouldn't be. I mean, maybe this was supposed to be like a kind of like a homicidal follow-up to that mermaid movie where you had Tom Hanks and Daryl Hannah.
Scott Duncan says on the Change the Channel topic, gasp, internet critics are assholes. No shit. But I think it's more than that. I mean, I read half the Change the Channel document, and it's like, I mean, there's some problems are just, well, you're working on the internet, so you should kind of expect certain things like, oh, well, we didn't get paid for the anniversary movies, our participation. It's like, well, when you're working on the internet with a lot of other people working on the internet, usually there's not that much money. This is kind of a labor of love, and it's sort of understood. But they were also pulling 12-hour fucking days to film Suburban Nights. So that's the kind of shit that requires some payment. 12-hour filming
and
days?
I think that I believe that there was an article or something that we talked about like back in 2010 or 11, combination of advertisements and sponsorships. Channel Awesome was making like $90,000 a year or something.
Yeah, I heard that was just Doug Walker's videos that was making that much, but maybe I got it wrong. I do remember I have read that 60, 70-page document, and it reads like the sort of horror stories that people who come away from a company that's folded because of like embezzlement or bad management or something like that, like a big company, and all the disgruntled employees finally come forward and talk about it. It reads like that. It reads like some sort of real life horror document.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's kind of ironic that if you know about the Disaster Artist, about how Tommy Wiseau would push all the producers and actors into the borderline exhaustion, and they would have like no water and barely any time to rest, while at the same time Tommy Wiseau was pretty much flubbing or forgetting his own lines of a movie that he wrote. Mm-hmm. There was even talks in that document regarding about Suburban Nights that they'll be going on in like claustrophobic areas with like no water and little breaks. So it's kind of like, oh, I mean, you made fun of The Room and Greg Sinestro, yet at the same time you treated your collaborators and your actors the same way that Tommy Wiseau did for his actors and producers, which is sad.
We got a $2 super chat from Ingy Bringy 2000 again, asking, why did Kindergarten Cop get the axe last summer? This is like, well, I kind of figured out what I would be reviewing for the summer of Schwarzenegger ahead of time, and that wasn't on the list. So I did, if you count the amount of summer Schwarzenegger reviews and count the amount of Wednesdays in the actual summer, then it all lined up. The problem was everything ended up months and months late, as they are right now. For instance, the latest review still has not gone up. I'm still editing that. I'm so frustrated this week, but that's my own damn fault, and that's how it is.
Yeah.
I tried to get Creepy to script it all for me for free. I really did.
I think that he's already reached his limit at this point in time.
I just be glad I don't come hounding you for money from all the scripting I did for free for the past 6 years.
That's the other thing with the whole change the channel document is like working on crossovers for free is like, well, that's sort of what happens. Like when you appear on one of my videos, I tend to not pay you, except for these. We got 10,000 huffs.
Woohoo!
For the summer of Gordon Liu, or the summer of Bud Spencer and the Terrence Hill, the summer of Disney animated movies, or the summer of Ultraman, or the summer of Power Rangers.
All sounds good.
I want to be on the summer of Power Rangers.
I'll be in the summer of Disney animated movies.
I'm going to have to go with Ultraman just because he likes to take the monsters from behind and flip them over and smash them. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And do things with them. Well, cameras.
But yeah, it's like when Creepy is on a crossover on my channel, I tend to not be paying him. He gets paid for Live and Wired. Patricia gets paid for Live and Wired. Yay! I'm being a good man today. But also the crossovers that appeared on Creepy's channel, like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and there was another one before that. Nightmare on Elm Street series, I think it was.
Yeah. Freddy's Nightmares.
The TV series of Nightmare on Elm Street. I appeared on a crossover on Creepy's channel. I don't know if that one exists anymore.
No, it doesn't.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, but I mean, it didn't get paid for that. But that's just kind of understood because most people making videos on YouTube really aren't making that much money. I'm making the most out of anyone here, and I'm still looking at the numbers going up and down on YouTube like, please, dear God, I want to be able to afford toilet paper this month.
And also the fact that, well, mainly what you get out of a crossover is exposure. You know, people from that channel might come and check out your channel, and people from your channel might come and check out the other person's channel. And I understood that, working for Channel Awesome was not a paying gig. Like, you didn't get a paycheck for making videos and it getting put up on that site. But, that exposure was the main thing that you benefited from it. But still, reading a lot of the shit that these people went through is just nightmarish. And I'm like...
Yeah, Nerdbane is asking, Creepy, is Decker a better Mike McCod?
Unfortunately, and though it causes me great pain to admit this, he is a better man than Mike McCod. And I say this after having spent 2 weeks in Japan homeless with him.
Oh God, Gamerathon 3.
Okay, 2-pound comment from Toby Kirkby, who says toilet paper is overrated. Man up. Yeah, use wet wipes. Get good, son.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said about goddamn things. Things are a lot harder to manage than one might think, and also I tend to be flaky and forget shit.
Speaking of forgetting shit, the results of our Twitter poll.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, we could talk. It was actually really, really close. 37% voted for Josie Voorhees.
Awesome.
And we have a tie for 30% on Francine Kruger and Michelle Myers. Only 3% voted for Michael Shelley.
Or Michael Shelley.
Yes. We hardly knew ye.
Tie on a Twitter poll.
Yeah, exactly. This is the first tie we've ever had. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, like, for Gamerathon 3, there was a lot of stuff built up with the Patreon rewards and stuff, and there's quite a few of them that I haven't done, and that's driving me insane. I should come clean on that on this topic with Change the Channel, because, honestly, a lot of that stuff is pretty hard to do, but at the same time, with Change the Channel, they have a fucking studio. They have a structure. They have a CEO. You would expect a little more professionalism at that point, and a little more. I mean, when you're a guy balancing a tablet on some books on a broken chair, I think people are a little more understanding that, hey, I fucked up somewhere. Happens a little sometimes. When you own a studio and you're incorporated,
right,
and you refer to your contributors as employees, there's another whole level of you're expected to actually pull off some shit at that point.
right,
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, with the I'm not sure, Creepy. Did we ever do the thank you video from Chibi Thulu to the patrons? I know. I think I did the thank you in the credits, and I did the thank you video on camera. But I think there was a Chibi Thulu thank you that never. I don't think that happened. But there was also the signed pictures. I never actually got a picture with you for us to sign and send. And I also my hard drive crashed, and I lost all of the freaking names of everyone who had been on at that time to earn that. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
$10 question. No, $10 comment from Reeve Savage, who says, because Decker is better than Mike Machad. Huzzah!
And $5 from Dieblade17 says, Decker do the Summer of Asylum movies. True test of sanity.
Oh, joy.
Oh, boy.
That was pretty much that was like in the early days of you doing reviews. That was pretty much what.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but there was also the other aspect of the channel that we haven't really touched on. The other thing that's really not something you can really sit there and say, well, it's online. This stuff happens. The sexual assault allegations.
Oh yeah. I do remember. Actually, it was Thursday night. I did not find this out until Thursday night. I had finally got in touch with Yama, and he was really broken up about this and I won't go into a lot of details, but Yama was the voice of Chibi Thulu, was actually a very big fan of Juwario back in the day. Wow. Before his suicide. So finding out these allegations aimed at Justin Carmichael hit him pretty hard. And so, I was a bit surprised, I will admit, but
yeah. I know a lot of people who are inspired by Juwario as well. I've never seen any of his videos, but I have heard about the guy and about how inspiring he was for a lot of people. And there's some people who were like beyond devastated with that. Our good buddy Jim Bevan on Twitter was talking about like he doesn't know how to feel about the news regarding about Juwario anymore, and it's really sad. We have 1000 Huffs from Rigon, who says, I'm still confused why Mike Machad owns, in part, the rights to the Nostalgia Critic. I think this whole situation wouldn't exist if he wouldn't.
I think it's he owns a majority share in the company, and therefore the properties of the company, which include the Nostalgia Critic, that guy with the glasses, the bum, any character that Doug made while being, for the company of Channel Awesome, are technically owned by Mike.
I want to say it was like in the early. I want to say it was in the early days, like when Doug was really just first. When that guy with the glasses site was first getting off the ground, that was when all that happened, and it just turns out to have paid off to Mike Machad instead.
Of course, they also say that Doug preferred having someone else in charge, and that kind of sounds a little strange. But at the time, the internet at that time, trying to do those kind of videos that really weren't allowed on YouTube because they just say fair use doesn't exist. This is infringing. Bye channel.
Right. And because Doug doesn't claim himself to be a businessman, he decided to put that responsibility into somebody else. So,
and according to some of the accusations in the Change the Channel document, Doug's not the brightest bulb when it comes to figuring things out.
No, he's not. Like, oh my God, I have never. I mean, if what I've been reading, it is.
So I just mean that. Just to finish my thought very quickly. I'm sorry.
Yes. No. Please go ahead.
For that, it would make a lot of sense that he would feel a lot more comfortable having someone else in charge of those kinds of things.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But my God, I mean, the fact that he was like, he clearly didn't know how to do basic editing, and he was kind of a little bit technologically inept, and then communicating like on Skype, and if you didn't do it, then you missed out or you were completely fired or something. Oh my God, that's just terrible. I mean, the whole, oh, why don't you just, email us? So, like, it was like a communication via Skype, and, the messages didn't go through all the time. It's just, oh my God, just.
It was like, it's funny that Doug Walker is being compared to Tommy Wiseau in terms of being this person with high ambitions for creating things, and having so much ineptitude at doing that at the same time, and not just like beginning with something, but in general, and never learning from mistakes is basically what I'm getting at. Like, because if you can go back and watch movies that directors that are well known for being great directors made, and their early stuff, is not very refined or polished, or doesn't have quite the same level of grandeur that they later became known for, but they learn from that. This is sort of like the inverse from that. Or
and on the topic of innocent through ignorance, Drake Loki comments, Doug's hands aren't clean from what I hear. He was the deciding factor when it came to firing one girl who, even against her doctor's orders, was still working her ass off.
Oh my God, that was hands. I think that was hands down one of the worst ones. I mean, that poor girl who her life was practically ruined because of them. Like, she couldn't get a job after she was fired from Channel Awesome.
It took like 3 years for her to find like steady work, like gainful employment again. It took 3 years after she was fired before that happened, because they ruined her life.
My God.
Yeah, there was like, if you, and I'm someone, I actually, before all of this started, this was last year, just something on a whim grabbed me and made me go back and watch the anniversary specials. Watched the first anniversary Brawl, and then the Kickassia, and then Suburban Nights, and then To Boldly Flee. I didn't watch them all in one day, but I did over a period of about a week or so. I watched all of the anniversary specials up to the end of To Boldly Flee, and the first anniversary Brawl is dumb, but I could get a couple of laughs out of it. Kickassia was always, to me, just wandering and pointless. Like, even like when first time I ever watched it, there were still a lot of people in Kickassia that I wasn't familiar with, and watching it years later, I recognized more of these people, but it still felt like a Looney Tunes sketch that was going on for way longer than it should have. Like, a Looney Tunes sketch is like 10 minutes. This felt like an hour and a half long Looney Tunes sketch. It was just, it had long ceased to be funny, but it was still going on.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the strongest anniversary that they ever did was Suburban Nights. It was when it felt like some of the storytelling had finally codified. The jokes were funny for the most part, and there was still a sense of camaraderie within the people performing it. You could feel that there was still a sense of friendship, but like To Boldly Flee was just it had the same problems that Kickassia and Suburban Nights had, dialed up to 11, with that lack of unity that Suburban Nights and Kickassia had. And it was just, there was so much tension on the set that it bled through into the movie, and I could just watch that movie. I don't know if a lot of other people had this impression, but I watched that movie the first time and I was like, wow, you can just tell that these people are pissed at each other and they don't want to be around one another.
Yeah, and guess what? You can't even watch it anymore because they removed it.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, they did. They removed it from their site. So that's just basically a big flaming middle finger to anybody who wanted to watch the anniversary videos. So, yeah.
Yeah.
The only way now you can be able to watch it is if you actually own the DVDs.
Or if you can find like a place online that has a bootleg version of it that they uploaded.
I wouldn't be surprised if that would be the case.
Jackson Beard says, "Nerd, can you request both Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider films and mention it's from me on the request?" And Nerdbane responded to him, "Beard, I'm not your handler."
But yeah, like I can remember when, like when I first started out, like my dream, like a long-term goal was to get on Channel Awesome. And I've said this to other people. In hindsight, I feel like I've dodged a bullet. Like I feel like everybody who didn't get on Channel Awesome dodged a really big.
It's funny because I mean, when I started out, obviously, good inspiration for the structure and style of the show. Nostalgia Critic cannot say that it is not the case because obviously I'd be a lying asshole if I did.
Right.
And 2 months in, I took what I had made so far and I submitted it like, "Hey, Channel Awesome, hey, I'm a dude. I like doing stuff. Would you like me to be one of your dudes?" And they're like, "No." And so, they said, "We're not looking for talent right now. So if that changes, maybe. But right now, no." And a while later, a couple months later, they got picked up. They picked up the Blockbuster Buster, and I'm like, "You sons of bitches!"
Actually, I heard that happened because of a fan poll. Like Blockbuster Buster's fans who watched him just kept pelting Channel Awesome with emails demanding that he become a member of Channel Awesome until finally they caved. I don't know how true that is, but that is.
I think that may be the case, and I know that Erod actually posted a video today because either today or yesterday when he announced that he quit Channel Awesome, and he was talking about like, "I worked really hard to say to Channel Awesome that I want to be a part of the community." He did it for like a year and 11 months, and they pretty much ignored him until eventually they caved in and said, "Okay, we'll have you in there."
Right.
Yeah, from what I could tell, after Blip went, pretty much all of his funds also went, and he was struggling for so long. And it was a couple of months ago, I think it was, I saw a video of him talking about how he was going to have to get a real job again. Because he could not make ends meet on the internet stuff anymore.
Right. Yeah, and this was even before Patreon came out.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah. The, what was it? Brain. Yeah, I was saying something, I swear. Now I can't remember what it was.
Anyone out there? Paying attention to Decker? Okay.
Well, we were talking about like the movies.
Yeah, and I was watching To Boldly Flee, and I could then, like, when I rewatched it and the first time I watched it, you could just feel the bleed through from the frustration and the animosity on the set. You could just it was just like so thick that it bled into the movie itself, and I was just like, wow, these people hate each other now. It was such a big leap from the way things were in Suburban Nights when it felt like everybody was still having a good time. But finding out what went on behind the scenes, yeah, I finally get it. I know why they hated each other now.
Yeah. And it's quite a shame. And now the only person besides Doug Walker is, who's on the site is Brad Jones and Guru Larry. And Guru Larry is just so incredibly trollish, just like posting about like, "Oh, I'm the last man standing" and stuff like that. So I'm glad that he's able to have fun with it.
And Guru Larry, he's been technically a part of the team of Channel Awesome for years, but they like never use him.
They never use him, exactly. He's never been a part of any of the anniversary specials. He's never done a crossover. I mean, to be fair, he lives in the UK, so that's perfectly fair, but...
So did Film Brain.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Film Brain, Masako X, when they did the Dragon Ball Evolution review.
But yeah, it's like when I was watching Suburban Nights when that was new, and I was having a nice time with that, and... Guru Larry was part of the site then, and he was absolutely nowhere in there. And there were comments to his stuff like, "Hey, you weren't in Suburban Nights," from fans and stuff, asking, "Hey, well, any reasoning behind that?" And he was just like, "They never asked me. They never contacted me or said anything was going on."
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and I've heard a lot of people who were on the site were, you know, had that reaction. Like these were some of these were like, you know, lesser known reviewers, but then others were bigger names, but they were like B-listers on the site. And people were asking, why weren't you ever in Suburban Nights or Kick-Assia or even To Boldly Flee? And they were like, nobody asked us. We were never invited.
Yeah,
And
I mean, even with the anniversary
saying.
brawl, you know, a lot of people like that chick with the goggles and, you know, Tom from Screw Attack when he left and went on to do his own site and Little Miss Gamer, they were never included in anything else again.
Right.
Now I remember what I was talking about. I was talking about me trying to get on that guy with glasses.
That's right. That's what you were talking about. Okay, continue.
Later, after the whole thing where they said no, and then they brought on Erod, and I'm like, and then they did have a Channel Awesome talent search at one point. Everyone remember that one?
Yeah,
yes.
That was 2013, I think.
Yeah, around that time.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have stood a chance because I wasn't even doing videos back then. I was still doing blogs and podcasts. I mean, I could have presented my podcast because I know they were, you know, I do know that they had a selection of people who were doing podcasts at the time. So I could have done that, but I just, I don't know. I don't think I stood a chance anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because at the time I already didn't care too much about being on the site. I didn't feel any more like, I mean, when I started, I had that thing in my mind like, okay, if I can get on Channel Awesome, then I have made it. If I can't get on Channel Awesome immediately, I got to work on getting onto Channel Awesome because that's how you have any chance of making it. By 2013, I was already like, nah, I'm fine on my own. I really don't need Channel Awesome. It would be nice, but it is nowhere close to necessary.
Right.
And Nerdbane says, well, good news. Channel Awesome is looking for new contributors. Here's your chance.
Again, like that is one thing. I think they had a talent drive in either 2013 or 2014, and then they had one in 2015. And now it seems like every year, every couple of years, they end up having a new talent drive because there is this mass exodus of people who either quit or who get fired from the site, and so they have to bring in a whole new crowd. You know.
At the 2013 talent drive, there was several people on Manic Expression who were saying, "No, I don't know about even sending an application because there's no way that I'm going to win." And I was kind of standing in solidarity with them and saying, "No, you can. You can submit something because I will."
Mm-hmm.
And I submitted my stuff, and I was like, there, you do it too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they did it, and interestingly enough, several people on Manic Expression actually got a letter back saying, you didn't get in, but you were in the finalists.
Right.
I didn't get the finalists message.
Right.
I was just told no.
Yeah. I didn't send one in because I don't think, or I remember I did once just for the hell of it, even though I was like, I'm not going to get in. I know I'm not going to get in, but I'll do it anyway, just for shits and giggles. And this was when the controversy was still in its early stages, like in 2013, 2014, when there were rumors and things were the bad was just starting to bubble up, to the surface. This was before all the stuff the rumors got really nasty, and until now. But I was like, I know I won't get in, and I never even heard anything back from them. I didn't get like a letter or a notification that they even seen the video that I submitted. It was just, I didn't hear jack squat from them.
We got a $5 super chat again from Ingy Bingy 2000, who says, TJ Kirk wanted in on the movie and other involvement, but ironically, he was bad for that guy with glasses image. He made a whole video about it.
Irony. Speaking of people who were bad for that guy.
1 second, Creepy. Film Geek of Doom for $2 says, would Creepy be up for reviewing Totally Spies?
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Do I really have to?
He gave you $2. Yes.
I've never seen the show, but I did meet the 3 main voice actresses when I went to MegaCon last year.
Now, I've heard that the voice actresses have gone on to do some really good voice work. They've,
Yes.
They've gone on to have land some really big roles, so that's awesome.
Yeah, they have. Jennifer Hale, she's pretty much in a lot of video games and cartoons and stuff. I mean, Commander Shepard, she's Cinderella, Samus on the Metroid Prime games, Billy's mom from Billy and Mandy. She's in a lot of things.
Yeah.
And let's see, Andrea Davis, she's also done a lot of voice acting as well. And the other person, I can't remember what her name was. I have to pull up my Instagram because I'm stupid. But I also met her as well. But let me see if I can find her. My internet just crashed. Whoop-de-doo. Anyway, but yeah. But the third person that now I got it back. Hooray. Okay, so let me just look it up. Oh yeah, Katie Griffin. That's what her name was. Yeah, Katie Griffin. She was the voice of Sailor Mars in the Deke dub. She's also done a lot of other voice work too in both the United States and Canada. But yeah, all 3 of them were really, really nice. And my cousin and I, we went to go see the Totally Spies reunion panel because it was the first time that they met up in person. Even though I think Katie lived in Canada. And both Andrea and Jennifer lived in America, so they were voicing their roles like right around the same time, but they never did it in person, like side by side. So when they did the panel, there was like a whole bunch of people over there and answering a whole bunch of questions, and it was a lot of fun. Even though I've never seen the show, it sounded like they had a really fun time doing it. But yeah, go ahead, Creepy. What were you gonna say?
I was going. Oh, what?
I remember. First, I was like, Nerdbane says, "Holy Mussolini! Channel Awesome's YouTube subs dropped another 4K today, and at this rate, they'll be below 1 million by the end of the month." But also, Creepy, you were going to go on a little bit of a tangent about that guy with the glasses image after they didn't think TJ Kirk would be good for it.
Oh, right. Thank you. Does anybody remember when the Amazing Atheist was a part of the site, but he called himself Distressed Watcher?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember hearing that he had gotten fired from that guy with the glasses. Actually, I heard like 2 different versions of the story. One that he was fired, and then another one that he quit. And Decker, I think you mentioned this came up in conversation at one point, and I feel like you knew more about it than I did. But yeah, I do remember that the main thing surrounding Amazing Atheist was that he was supposed to be bad for their image too, or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember. I remember I watched several things of his regarding that situation because it was related to Channel Awesome. I was looking at Channel Awesome, like thinking about, okay, what kind of strategy can I do to get on here? And I saw stuff about him getting fired or kicked, said leaving. I can't remember. It was so long ago.
$5 Canadian, $5 from Nicholas Humphreys, who says, "Can Creepy review Martin Mystery?"
I have seen Martin Mystery. It's okay.
I've heard of Martin Mystery, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's not that I won't review any of these things. It's just right now I'm trying to finish some of the things that I've been on for a while, and then get on to some others that people have been pleading with me to do for a while as well.
Yeah.
And Nerdbane says the Kirk always stood out on the site, and he was generally the more provocative member.
Yeah.
I guess publicly provocative.
Sure. Yeah, I think that if you want to give your final thoughts on it, I think we should go over to our other topics.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, my whole thing is it seems to really kind of solidify the one idea that I have. I guess it's just, putting more evidence in this idea is valid corner of people when they get money, and if they don't, they're the same kind of person, but they will be able to get away with more shit. So if it's someone who will do some if they'll be mean to people, if they'll do some kind of sexual assaulty kind of creepiness things, and just generally bad things, if you give them more money and power, they'll do it more freely without people being able to just hold them to a high standard. Myself, my problem is I'm a flaky motherfucker who can't do shit right. So I fuck up some things, and then people don't hold me to the standards as much as they would if I wasn't as popular as I am now, and that does concern me because I'm like, nah, I want to be better than this. So
give
there's
Decker more money so that he can be even more comically inept for your amusement.
Yes, exactly. I'm gonna have to get like just someone to just whip me to get me to do things. I don't know.
I told you, Decker, I don't do that anymore for free.
All right. Well, you have any final thoughts, Creepy?
I feel like I've said all I need to say. I mean, I do appreciate that people have come forward. I do appreciate that this is coming out. Finally, I feel like it's something that has been quiet for too long. One funny thing that was said to me earlier today via email was from James, owner of Manic Expression. He said he wants to see the behind-the-scenes story of Channel Awesome made into an HBO special.
He actually told me that too.
Really?
He actually talked to me. This was like around the time in which we were like sharing conversations with one another after I was finished with Reflection, the podcast play that I put out almost a month ago. And we were just talking about like, James, thank you so much for posting, your thoughts on, Change the Channel, and thank you so much for Manic Expression. And then we were talking a little bit about it. And then he said, what would be interesting? I think that it should, be like a TV special, like a mini series or a movie that, would go into the behind the scenes of Channel Awesome.
Manic Kitty is like behind the blow, Channel Awesome.
I actually recommended. When James said that to me, I recommended Awesome Sauce, the not so Channel Awesome story, tonight on HBO.
All right. Well, I don't have anything to say about it either. I'm pretty much petered out. So. Okay, let's go over to our next stuff, which everybody has been saying in the chat. It's not even funny. There's a new trailer coming out. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Kevin Burdine says, Hale, Decker, if I donate $500, would you do the summer of Stephen King movies, this summer, or the summer of Halloween? Technically, but you also don't need to, for that, just say, no. Okay, continuing.
Anyway, but in the meantime, while, Decker still is not going to reveal what he's going to be doing for the summer, there is a new trailer coming out for The Meg, which pits Jason Statham against a giant megalodon shark. Just when you thought it was safe to go back into the water, there is a massive prehistoric shark who makes Jaws look like a guppy.
Yeah, we got a $5 super chat from the Terror of Death saying, Creepy, can you please, after you are done with the 90s X-Men cartoon, can you please review X-Men Evolution or Code Lyoko?
Code Lyoko, wow.
Code Lyoko. I can pronounce.
That's okay, but yeah, that'd be fun. X-Men Evolution or Code Lyoko.
After Beast Wars, I have
Beast Wars.
After X-Men, I have Beast Wars slated, but X-Men Evolution is on the list. It is something I'm going to review further on down the line. So it's coming.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, 2 decades after its release, Steve Alten's hit novel, Meg, A Novel of Deep Terror, is coming to the big screen. Warner Brothers has released the first trailer for The Meg, which puts Jason Statham against a 75-foot-long megalodon shark, and it's one of the rare foes that Statham simply can't punch, kick, or crash into a car. Oh, boy. Lovely. In The Meg, Statham portrays as a rescue diver named Jonas Taylor, a man who first encountered the giant shark years before and narrowly escaped with his life. Now the megalodon circling undersea observation program is more than willing to try to make a meal out of the survivors trapped inside. That sounds like a billion other shark movies that I've heard of.
I'm just like, This has to end with the awesome like big monster thing, like standing there, and Jason Statham standing there with some fucking rocket launcher assault fucking tank, and he just has to look at in his cold dead eyes and go, "Shut up, Meg." Boom.
Way to bring Family Guy into this, like a million other people haven't already. Seriously, that's been like the biggest running joke. It's like the Meg. Where's the rest of the Family Guy members?
Chris Chris says, "Too bad it's PG-13." Manigan, it's like Family Guy jokes. Well done, Decker.
But yeah, seriously, I mean, making Jaws look like a guppy. Way to basically put down Jaws. It's like, yeah, Jaws sucks. We have the better version of Jaws. It has a megalodon shark and has Jason Statham in it.
It just kind of looks like a combination of Jaws 3 and Jaws 1 to me, except with Jason Statham. Which means I'm probably going to like it.
We'll see.
At least it'll be entertaining. I don't assume it's going to be like, wow, that movie really made me think.
Yes, because we all remember that one classic movie of sharks and being all philosophical.
Right.
Yes. All right. I guess there's not really much to say. I mean, the movie is coming out this year, and you can see the trailer. So if you want to learn more information about that, you can go ahead and do so. So yeah, we only have just a few more articles to cover, and we are almost passing the 2-hour mark. So let's just go through these pretty quick. So let's go for a movie that recently has changed its tone to feature into more horror. So the New Mutants, which is sort of like a spin-off of X-Men, I think. Don't really know the full details, but they are thinking about changing the tone into more horror themed, which that's going to be a great, indication that the movie's going to possibly go very well. If the movie is slated to be released between 2018 or 2019, and now they want to change the tone, making it into a full-blown horror movie because of the huge success of It. Yay.
I actually feel like this can work in theory because the New Mutants comic, the one way back in the early 80s, it wasn't a straight-up horror comic, but it did have horror elements in it. It did, in a weird way, it did almost read like a very mild sauce version of a teen horror movie. Bunch of kids going to a school, they're dealing with teenage angst, and monsters or bad guys show up and cause problems. The difference being that these are kids who have superpowers of their own, so they're more likely, comparatively, to live through to see the end. So I have questions about this, but at the same time, I don't immediately think this is awful.
Toby Kirby says it was horror, but then the studio changed it to young adult, and now it's going back to horror. So, like, the original script and plan was horror, and then studio interference was like, nah, screw the horror. You gotta make it a nice teen movie, and then it did really well, and like, actually, could you change it back now?
Yeah. Oh, this new movie called It came out where it featured like a scary clown with a bunch of kids. Yeah, let's see if we can change our tone back into horror. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of It, I'm sure that some people have been seeing some announcements regarding about that, in the form that It, the sequel to It Chapter 2, will be filming this summer, and we'll be getting some more information regarding about that. So Roy Lee has talked about that it will be announced on September 6, 2019, and he goes into more details as to who will be in the movie. So we have, let's see, Bev, who's going to be played by Jessica Chastain, and there have been a few other people who have been confirmed by other actors who are going to be playing the adult roles. And I think we even did discuss about this a while back about like the changes about what the kids are going to be like when they turn into adults. I think we did talk about that in a previous episode of Live and Wired. But yeah, for those who are wondering, yes, we will be getting the movie next year, and it'll be filming this coming summer. So yeah,
I still got to review like the second the second It movie, but the first one that's this one and this series. That one I got to review. Yeah,
sure. And I can't turn off screen share because there we go. My touch screen is not working. But yeah, you did review the miniseries, not a miniseries, the 2-part TV movie, right?
Yeah, it's kind of considered a miniseries, but it's also pretty much just a 2-part movie.
Yeah. That's confusing.
And what was that? Manic Idiot also commented, I think they need to reboot the film Scream, but instead of scary movie references, the killer uses typical spam messages. Do you like free $50 Amazon gift cards?
Don't they already have a movie where it features something like something scary and it comes from the internet?
Oh,
there's been several movies that were like that. Like ever since the internet became a thing, there have been horror movies telling the world that the internet is evil.
Right. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we would go into that. So anyway, we just have a few more to cover, and I want to save a very interesting one for last. So I'll go over into another one. So a lot of people have been talking about how amazing or how good that A Quiet Place was, directed by John Krasinski. He's already in the works of doing another movie. He's going to be directing a sci-fi movie called Life on Mars, in which it involves with people and their perspective of living on Mars. So it's based off of the short story by Cecil, I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly if I'm sorry, Castellucci, called We Have Always Lived on Mars, following a woman who is one of the few descendants of a human colony on Mars that has abandoned Earth. She is surprised to discover that she can breathe the Martian atmosphere, and while the crew takes this to mean their terraforming has finally paid off, this development actually unlocks the mystery of the disaster that stranded her and her team on the planet in the first place. So yeah, it sounds pretty interesting.
I like the idea of science fiction that actually explores scientific kinds of angles, and I'm wondering exactly how the science fiction-y horror is going to work out. Of course, it's only based on that little thing, because from that little sentence, I'm thinking, okay, she's mutated, something happened, I don't know. Something got released, and now they are not necessarily human anymore. I don't know. I have not read the book.
Me neither.
But still, crowdfunding the whole movie.
Yes, we have saved the best for last. So Neil Blomkamp, who is a very well-known director, he is releasing a Kickstarter campaign for a possible horror/sci-fi feature called Firebase. So set in the Vietnam War, Firebase follows American soldier Hines through an ever-deepening web of science fiction madness. And there is a video on it, so you can be able to check it out. You can check out the Kickstarter in this article right here to donate and learn more. You could just click on this link in the bottom. But basically, it is science fiction/horror. And I think there's even some pictures of it, especially this creepy-looking skull thing. And it says right here that if they raise $100 million, we will shoot a Firebase feature trilogy, which that's going to be quite an accomplishment.
That'd be a hell of a lot to raise.
Yeah, I'll say. So
yeah, that does avoid the whole studio interference part. I thought that was like the previous one with the Life on Mars, but I guess I was getting my news mixed in my brain.
Yeah, we've had talked about a few crowdfunding campaign videos, or whether it be like from an independent producer or from a big studio bigwig. So it does get complicated to catch up with things, to find out, this is going to be based off of science fiction, this was going to be based on horror, then there's that 1980s spoof on action movies that we even covered a few months back. So yeah, it's kind of hard to cover which is which. So yeah, that's pretty much all the articles for this particular installment of Live and Wired. I mean, there's plenty more, but I think that we've already reached our breaking points. We've been going at this for at least 2 hours.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Whew. Yeah, that was a lot of stuff.
Yep.
So let's talk about Channel Awesome again.
No, I think we did more than enough.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay, yeah. Ooh, brain. Just trying to. There's a lot of stuff going on. You should talk about what we are working on, and I've got a lot. Like, I mean, I don't, but it's late.
Yeah.
So it feels worse than it is.
Yeah.
I canceled any kind of live stream on the gaming channel last night just to try and get a little more editing done on the next review, since it's supposed to be out right now, and it obviously is not. So that's what I'll be working on. The next review, which is the second review of season 7. Second review of season 7, and it's of the movie that was supposed to be the first one, but I kept having problems ripping it. So, yay! We're doing really good.
Awesome. What do you got, Creepy?
Season 3 of Daria.
Nice.
I have not finished it, but I am working on it. I have finally gotten everything together, despite some. There's been some problems on the home front for the past week or so, but I finally got some things together. I finally got everything together, and I am now beginning the process of putting it together bit by bit to be completed and uploaded. So that is coming.
I have a podcast coming up, episode of Casual Chats. I haven't done that in over a month, and I'm writing the script for my next video. I don't know when it's coming out, but I'm hoping it's coming out really soon. And Eddie Horta says, new Decker coming soon. Please go ready for the 420 view. Oh, that's right. 420 is coming up.
I don't have a specific 420 thing because I'm still like 3 months behind on everything. I was just like, okay, line this up, figure out what to try and catch up. And of course, I'm slipping even further behind. And I'm like, hopefully, we're actually going to move sometime relatively soon, but we have no idea, and it's really frustrating.
Yeah. I'm sure that whatever that is going to be coming out, I'm sure it'll be entertaining nonetheless.
Hope so. Do I have a 420 coming soon? Unfortunately not. I mean, if I do one this year, it'll probably be sometime in October.
Okay. Better than not coming out at all. So, okay. Better late than never.
Okay, so that was Live and Wired, episode 8. This sucks. Change it. And it was quite a lot of Channel Awesome drama and stuff. We barely scratched the surface too.
Yeah.
But hopefully that does answer the question that I've been getting a lot of. What's your opinion on this? So yeah. Hopefully they don't shoot themselves in the foot anymore on their failed apologies that they've had 2 of so far.
They will.
Oh boy. But yeah. Thank you all for watching. I've been Decker Shado. This has been Live and Wired. That has been that long-haired creepy guy, and that has been Patricia Miranda. And we will see words wired.
See you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.
There we go. That's see you in 2 weeks.